And welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
Nice to see you, and thank you for being so brave as to participate in this. This is going to be my last session before the summer, so I thought I'd do it a little bit differently this time by just explaining what I'm doing a little bit more, because it might seem a little bit kind of disorganized. I have a Mercury-Neptune square, so that's theoretically, that's pretty disorganized. So I try and compensate by organizing a lot. So I'll just say something about the strategy, and then we'll go straight to your chart. Yeah, so generally, I have these kind of 5 stages of what I do. And the first stage is to get the attention of the person. And so instead of boring the client by sort of saying something about the sun sign and that kind of thing, I always look for a couple of things that I know is going to be right, because I want to hit the mark correctly in the beginning. And then I kind of got the attention of the person, and it seems a little bit more magical if it shows the astrology works. And then clients are much more open. So here we go with that, Sarah. So I looked at the chart and I thought, well, you had Pluto over your Sun and Uranus over your Mars and opposite your Jupiter. So I think a lot has happened. And so right now, your situation is that you're kind of a little confused about how to spend your time during the day. There's some frustrations. So we need to talk about those frustrations. So I think that you're a very positive person. And that's because in the consultation chart, the Jupiter is rising in Cancer, and you have this repeat of a Sun-Jupiter sextile. So a reasonably upbeat, realistic, and positive person. The other thing I think is incredibly powerful in your chart is that it's so curious. You obviously want to learn a lot, and you've read a lot, and you talk a lot, and you discuss a lot, and you meet a lot of people, and you have an extremely pleasant way of communication, which I'll talk about in a bit later. The emphasis in your chart on Aquarius in the 9th house and the moon rising in Gemini shows this really powerful intellectual ability. So I'm not going to be able to tell you anything that you don't really know, but we can kind of explore a little bit. The second thing I think is really interesting is that with Mercury in your ascendant ruler in the 8th house, it's not just like superficial contact you're interested in. You're really interested in digging deep into all the hidden things. Now, I guess that this was kind of activated early on in your life. So to have the ascendant ruler in Capricorn in the 8th is quite hard, even though there's a sort of considerable intelligence. So that like at the age of 9, 10, 11, and 12, something like that, experience some painful processes which have kind of awakened a need to understand things on a deeper level. So maybe you can remember that, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. For example, you have Mars opposite Jupiter, and there's a very, very powerful Mars-Jupiter square today. That's affecting you right now. Also, you have the moon wide opposition to Saturn, but today the moon is exactly square Saturn, and that shows an issue right now connected with your daily life and your work and maybe health and that kind of thing. That's where I thought we'd start, and that was my phase 1 here of attention. Maybe you can say something about that?
You have been dead on every single point you mentioned.
And this is where we come to the stage called communication.
Well, for example, you were talking about things changing when I was very young because of Pluto, and that happened when I was 7. I went through a lot of changes when I was 7. That's where I see the change come in. I got very into esoteric matters. So I was very young.
Later on?
When I was 7, I started getting very interested in it. It's been a major theme my whole life. Spirituality.
It's Mercury in Capricorn in the 8th.
Yeah.
Esoteric matters, this we go back to communication here. It's the generalization. And so the question would be, what specifically in esoteric?
When I was 7, I started with reincarnation.
I
So
see. Reincarnation. How do you start with reincarnation? What happened?
I started reading about it and I just started studying. I started reading things that were way too advanced for me. Like you were saying, I like to learn. I love to learn.
Mm.
I'm a lifelong learner. I love school. I love everything having to do with spirituality and esoteric matters and the hidden matters that most people get uncomfortable discussing.
That's a nice kind of explanation of the ninth house and the eighth house influence. So, and also in the progress chart, what's going to happen is the fourth house cusp is going to go over Pluto. And that's going to that's specifically around the age of 12, I think, but we won't go there yet. So that was the tension, you see. And now we're going to resources. You see, when astrologers do consultations, it's so easy to talk about the difficult things. People want to talk about them. So you kind of start focusing on the difficult aspects, and people get more and more depressed, even though they think they want to talk about it. And the reason people don't talk about the good aspects is because when you just describe them, people sort of nod and they just say, oh, yeah, and that's true. Or they just think everybody's got that. There's a way of talking about positive aspects, which is where you evoke the feelings in the body or the emotions connected with it. And so what we'd want to do here is to look at this rather wonderful moon trine Venus. But the thing is, Moon and Venus is in air signs. So when things are in air signs, it's very mental. It's not so much a physical sensation as it would be in Earth, for example. So this is a mental thing. And you've already been into this, Sarah, with talking about how you enjoyed school, how you enjoyed reading, and that kind of thing. But that's just words. So I think what you have to do is to kind of specify the actual circumstances where you get this kick, this mental kick from learning something, especially because Venus is in Aquarius in the ninth. And then you want to talk about it and share it and think about it and read about it. And that's going to evoke in you a kind of feeling of exhilaration. You know that feeling of exhilaration?
That's why I love that area of esoteric things because it gives me great excitement inside. It
Inside,
really
like
does.
where exactly would that be? In your head or in your heart? Or... So can I start? Notice
Probably
that
my heart.
you notice that Sarah is also looking up as she's trying to find, she's scanning, okay, where do I feel that, right? So that means she's visualizing. And that can be okay, but it does tend to sort of create a distance visualizing. It's not as much as feeling in the heart, for example. So you mentioned in the heart. I wonder if it is there, if that's where the feeling is. It's like you see something, you discover something, you get inspired. Isn't it more like a sort of electricity or something?
Yeah, it just kind of runs through my whole body. I get very excited. I want to tell people about it. And,
So that's like an electric current that runs through your
yeah,
body.
yeah.
How does that feel then?
It can be a little frenetic at times. It speeds me up.
Yeah.
My talking, my actions, it definitely speeds me up. I noticed that.
What is it that speeds up?
Just everything, my mental process, my actions, my words, just everything I'm doing just kind of speeds up. It's almost like I can't keep track of my thoughts because they're going by so fast.
So they're kind of streaming into you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it's like with an air sign trine, especially from the ninth to the first house. And that's like a little bit about resources. It's good to talk about resources because when you talk about the challenges, it's good that people have come from a good place and not from sort of straight into the problems that's kind of issuing. Now, to prioritize what challenges are existing, if the consultation chart replicates something from the birth chart, then you can be sure that is an issue right now, and that it hasn't been solved, or you're still working on it. So the thing that's clear here, one of the things I would think, I might be wrong, but one is the Mars Jupiter. So If we look at Mars in the birth horoscope, it's in Taurus, it's in 12th house, it's square Chiron exactly, so there's some pain associated with it probably, and it's opposite Jupiter. And we've got this Mars now square Jupiter in the consultation chart. So something's happening now. Something's just happened now, which has activated this because Mars is at 20 degrees and Jupiter's at 19 degrees. So something's just happened. First of all, the Mars-Jupiter thing it has this effect that there's people, and you, Sarah, too, have very powerful opinions, very strong convictions. And in a woman's chart, normally, if Mars is projected, Mars-Jupiter would give these experiences where one gets attracted to or has experience of dominating intellectual figures, and especially intellectual men in your life. Might not work quite like that in the 12th, but that would be my first guess. Okay, there's a dominant male here, Mars in Aries. This is the consultation chart. Mars in Aries conjoining Chiron. Here we got Mars square Chiron, square Jupiter. So we got to find out what that is because it's been a problem. It's just been a problem recently. Now, I'm not sure. What are you, 67 or something like that? Are you still working?
No, I'm retired. I still do write, but technically I'm retired.
Do you have kids?
I have one, yes.
Is he a son?
Yes.
Okay, because that might be the kid, Mars, ruling the 5th of Scorpio, right? And so if Mars is square Jupiter, there may have been a kind of difference of opinion with a kid. With, what's the name of your son?
Brandon.
Brandon. So how about that? Or has he got a problem, or has he got some issue he's struggling with?
It's been difficult for me, since COVID. He's back in my house. So we have our clashes.
And recently there's been a clash about what exactly?
Oh, about moving.
Sorry, moving
Out of state to North Carolina.
You mean he should move out to North Carolina?
He wants us both to go there. I'm having
And what's your
issues.
opinion?
I don't like the South. I've lived in the South. I've lived all over the states. I'm a native New Yorker. I came back here 8 years ago, and I'm very comfortable where I am because this is the area where I was born.
Okay, so here we've got the Jupiter rising in Cancer. You like it where you are. You really like it where you are.
Yeah.
And Sun, when you have Cancer rising in the consultation chart, the Sun's very powerful. And the Sun is moving to a sextile to Jupiter. So that shows you really like where you are and you want the stability. Now, Mars, the Sun, Brandon, he doesn't have a great sensitivity, and he kind of thinks he can force the issue, right? But he's run up against Jupiter. Jupiter's very powerful. It's exalted in Cancer, but Mars is also powerful. It's in the 10th house, right? So that's like an irresolvable argument. Nobody's going to win this argument. And the question is, will you end up moving?
I have a feeling I probably will in the next year.
Yeah, and there are indications that will happen because this is your progressed horoscope. And you can see that the ascendant in the progressed chart is in Leo. And it's been on Uranus, but Uranus in the birth chart is at 14 degrees. So it's in a year or two, the ascendant comes on Uranus. I mean, that would be it can be many things, but if you were thinking of moving, it might happen. All right, so that was my dealing with the Mars-Jupiter. But the behavior is something else, something you do. And I guess it's stubborn because you got Mars in Taurus, opposite Jupiter in Scorpio. That's like, this is my opinion, that's it. It's like very, very fixed.
Yes, exactly.
Now, Jupiter rules the 7th house, and you've got a son, so you have a partner or have had a partner.
Yes.
But he's going to display this in this behavior, or he's going to appear to display this behavior because Jupiter rules the descendant. So your Mars is Jupiter. He seems to, it's more than just strong opinions, right? Mars in Taurus in the 12th house misbehaves as well, I think.
No, I'm divorced.
And how long were you married? To the father?
I was married 10 years.
I see. And it ended because of what? Well, did it end because he was unfaithful, or you ended arguing too much?
No, I just couldn't be married anymore. Let's just leave it at that.
So we'll leave it at that, because there's sort of a lot of underhand behavior with Mars opposite Jupiter in Scorpio, Mars in Taurus, and we don't want to dig it out. But because it's replicated in the birth chart and you have Brandon staying with you, some of the feelings connected with the old issue, with the birth issue, really, with the character, get stimulated. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong, because you've got Jupiter's like exalted in Cancer. It's really wise. So you have your wisdom. But here we're moving to this kind of idea of challenges, find the root cause, right? So there's a root cause, and it's to do with dominating intellectual figures early in life. And I'm not sure who that would be.
That would be my father.
Yeah, okay, your father, right. And did you find, maybe because Mars is in the 12th, you just kind of, you objected to being told what to do, but you kept it kind of to yourself, or how did it work?
I do to a certain extent, but I tend to be very honest with people. I tend to be very honest with my family. And I
So in
people
being
know
honest
when
with
I
your
don't like
father,
something.
in being honest with your father, what did you say?
Oh, I don't there was no exact conversation can recall, but I would push up. I was the only one in the family that would push up against him. Everybody else would cower. And I was just like, yeah, you're not better than me. And I'm your equal. And this is the way it is. I am female, you're male. And my father had an issue that I wasn't a boy,
Your father had an issue that,
that I was a girl, he
oh yeah,
wanted a boy.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I didn't get named for 5 days.
And I have a feeling we're into the Mars square Venus territory here,
Yeah.
which actually is a pretty strong word. I mean,
My father was a very strong, forceful, he could be aggressive in his words, and he was a force to be reckoned with, but I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't understand why people were intimidated. I never was. I don't get intimidated by people.
and your husband, was he a force to be reckoned with?
No, he
What actually
was
happened with him that he seemed to be rather weak, really?
he definitely was weak. And
And do you think that
the
might have arisen because you developed such strong intellectual muscles in dealing with your father, that actually it's quite difficult to have one's way with you?
yeah, he just wasn't my idea of a strong man. I mean, I'm sure other people wouldn't see that, but to me, he just wasn't very strong.
The point I was trying to make was, wouldn't that be because you developed like methods which you developed in dealing with your father, which would have actually weakened?
I mean, I do know that getting married was the biggest mistake of my life. So,
Not necessarily, because you had a son.
no, it was the biggest mistake of my life. Absolutely. 1000%. I'm very firm on that.
So it doesn't compensate that you had a son?
No,
Oh, okay.
it was uncomfortable and I was very unhappy.
Okay. And you're quite good at astrology, right?
I'm not as good as I'd like to be. I'm no professional astrologer. I love astrology. I've been into it since I was 10, but I never learned it as well as I probably should have. And probably one of the reasons is because until 2015, I was dealing with the wrong birth chart. I
So
was going on the time that my mother told me. And then one day, I was cleaning the house and I came across my birth certificate and I kind of freaked out because it was 9 hours off.
wow. So that was about 11 years ago then.
And so you are my first professional reading of my correct natal chart.
11 years ago. 11 years ago, your Mercury progressed, it went stationary. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you can imagine this, Mercury moved all the way to Aries and it stopped at 13 degrees. That's what happened around the age of 57.
Oh,
And Uranus goes a little bit backwards. It went backwards to 13 degrees also. So right at that time, Mercury and Uranus were, because Mercury's stationary, it takes years, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Mercury's just sitting in a trine aspect to Uranus, which is just great for astrology. And I was thinking that might be a turning point with your astrological knowledge. Well,
I love
it was for the
astrology.
good.
So yeah.
So I've looked at Mars Jupiter a little bit, right? So yeah, what I'm trying to do is, you'll notice I interrupt a lot. It's partly my fault. I have Moon in Aries in the 7th, so I'm impatient. But also because you don't need to know a whole lot. All you need to know as an astrologer is what's the energy? What's the energy behind this? Because it's the energy. If you can get people to feel the energy, that's when a transformation can happen. And that's why with communication, I drill down, I ask people to be specific, and then you can make some kind of transformation. So you can make a transformation when you get the client to the point when they say, yeah, they recognize that behavior, they don't like that behavior, and they want to change that behavior. And when you reach that point, then you can start working creatively with the energy. So the energy of the Mars Jupiter would be like, Mars Jupiter is like, it's not fair, it's not right, and it should be better. There's an inner feeling where you get a little enraged by the injustice of it. Do you know that feeling?
I know that feeling so well
Okay,
since I
great.
was
Stay with
born.
that feeling, because that's the feeling. You actually feel that. This is
Y-
something you'll feel in your body.
Yes.
And it would be like a really powerful energy, actually.
Yes, it is. And sometimes it explodes.
Okay, so when you feel the energy, where specifically in the body is it?
In my chest area.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just wells up.
I think it could be a bit lower down as well, down
Oh,
your
actually
chakra.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I have gotten my biggest issue in life, my biggest part, I guess I do have an issue with the male patriarchy. I really despise it. No offense. But being a woman, I have been subjugated to being put down my whole life because I'm just a freaking female. And the other half, the males in the world, are so much better than me, so much more intelligent,
Okay, and I'll
so
stop
much
there,
more
if I
everything.
may, because we are now into the area of communication.
Yeah.
And this is like very important when you get a generalization, that you make it specific. And one of the ways of doing that is like the males in the world are dominating bastards, right? And you can work with this in different ways. For example, the hardcore way of dealing with it. Am I a dominating bastard? Am I a dominating male?
I don't know because I
No,
don't
no,
know
you
you.
don't know, I guess. And can you think of any males that are not dominating?
My son, most of the time,
The
and
son is not dominating.
he can be, but no, because he knows me and he knows not to push me. So in that regard, no.
Do you see how this is actually turning around a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So all this stuff about man and being dominated, it depends on the focus.
It does depend on the focus, but I
And
have
when you
had so many
focus, when you focus,
issues with it within my jobs, within
I'm
my
sure,
relationships, everything.
sure. Okay. So we're really into the Mars Jupiter now. But we leave it there because we'll never get to the end of it right now.
No,
So
it
thought I'd
won't.
just one thing I need to ask you about, because this is the consultation chart again, and you can see the moon's at 9 degrees Capricorn and Saturn's at 9 degrees Aries. This is an acute situation because it's like something that's happening right now. And moon in Capricorn in the 4th house is something to do with work, but you're retired. So it's something to do with the daily life. And it's a frustration. It's a frustration that you shouldn't, I don't want you to be feeling it, but you may be feeling it right now, right? What would that be?
I'm frustrated that I'm not getting my writing out to the world the way I want it to be. And I need to be a little more diligent
And what is
about,
preventing you getting that out?
really, it all boils down to me. No matter what the excuse is, sometimes there's too much going on. I don't have the time, or
So you don't have the time, or you do have the time?
I do have the time, but a lot of times my day gets interfered with to such an extent. It's like, okay, I can't do this today.
So what interferes with your day?
It can be anything, just things popping up,
Give one example of that.
interruptions. I can get a lot of interruptions during the day, which I don't like.
Is it
I
good
try to
interruptions for
structure
people
things,
coming, or just ringing or what?
mostly just calling
Right. But
or
you like,
texting
don't
or
you,
something.
because you're moon in Gemini in the first, you're gonna like the communication.
Yeah, I've always, since I got my new natal chart, I thought, wow, I'm a double Gemini because I have my moon and my ascendant in Gemini. And I thought that's very apt.
Right. So you need to write. And what have you written?
I've published one book. I have other books and other articles and stuff in various stages of work, of progress.
You
I
have
just need to
written,
get more out.
you have written, but there's a
Yeah.
current frustration.
I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel, and I've had this fear holding me back, and I'm really tired of feeling that way. And so the last few weeks, I was like, you know what? You're just going to do it, for goodness sakes. And I got the channel name 3 years ago. It's like, hello, can you do it already?
Okay. So prediction, because the moon is square Saturn now, the frustration's at its peak now. The moon is it's been trying Mercury, you've written stuff, and it will try the sun. So actually, that's like pretty encouraging for the writing work, I think. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Mercury's been square Pluto here. Oh, maybe you need some heavy editing. Have you been doing any heavy editing of what you've been writing?
Yes. And you know what? That goes back to what you were saying about interruptions. That's one of my interruptions, because you can really go into the weeds there. You're editing and editing, and it's like, oh my God, stop. Just, it's fine. Leave it.
Yeah, well, you finished with the editing, but it was necessary because
Yeah.
Mercury has square Pluto, but it's past. So
Yeah.
now the moon's going to go trine the sun, and actually to get the work going, you're going to need connections to whoever the sun in Taurus in the 11th house is, which is an influential friend who has the resources to help you in one way or another. You know who that might be?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Well, I'm sure it'll come.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we have to kind of round off. So, do you have any questions?
Um, well, I think my biggest question was about the move. And even if I didn't go to North Carolina, I'm wondering if I would still move to another house in New York, or if I'm just going to stay put. That, a lot of energy around that, trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you want to stay put. But when you have the constellation chart with the IC so close to changing sign, it often shows a move, which would be in a couple of years. And when you factor in the fact that the ascendant's coming on Uranus at 14 degrees in a couple of years, this period from 2025 to 27, it seems like you'll be wanting some kind of change. The odds are that a move would be okay. And why does your son want you both to move?
He hates New York. He's a California baby. and it is too cold here for him.
Oh, I see. And that helps in South Carolina.
Or North Carolina, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I would not go to South Carolina, no.
So I think I'm sort of only 60 to 70% saying that it looks like a move, because I can see that you kind of happy where you are.
Yeah. This is the first place I've lived where I felt home. As soon as we got here, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm home." I mean, everything just I'd never felt this in my life until I moved here and I went, "Wow." Because I'm about an hour south of Syracuse and I was born in Syracuse. And I'm just like, wow, this area works for me. And I love my land, the land that I have. I love my house. I love my neighbors, best neighbors I've ever had in my life. It's like,
Right.
I like it here.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. What is your son married?
No,
Has he been married?
no.
Okay, because he's probably going to find a partner. That's his problem. He needs a partner.
I agree with that.
The reason I say that, because he's ruled by Mars, because you've got one child, it's got to be the fifth house ruler, that would be Mars. So you had the arguments with him, Mars in Aries in the 10th. And Venus is trying to make some kind of sextile to Mars, right? And if you follow the movements of Venus and Mars, I'm not sure. Is Mars going to get out of Aries just before Venus? There's something called refrenation in horary astrology. We're just going to check that one out now. Venus makes a sextile to Mars almost exactly on the sign cusp. So if that does happen, and then he meets somebody, they'll move both to a new place. That's my prediction, but it's a bit of a loose prediction.
I like that prediction.
Okay, that's it for now. Shall we wrap this up? And thank you very much, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate your volunteering spirit. This is my last live session for a while. I might pick it up again in the fall. I'm going to do some masterclasses later on, mostly about consultation technique. It'll be supervision as well. I'm looking for a group of people who want to work with horoscopes or their own horoscope or clients' horoscopes. So if anybody interested or anybody who's interested, you can write to my email. Thank you, everybody, for being such loyal visitors over the last few months. You're all welcome to go to my YouTube channel, where I think there's about 6 consultations now recorded. Thanks for now.
Thank
Bye.
you, Adrian.
Thank you. Bye.